Come on everyone, gather around the campfire and let me tell you a story about three unfortunate souls whose ship crash landed in the forest. They managed to survive the landing, but they were not prepared for what lurked in the dark woods. Chapter 1: Crash Landing. This jungle felt different than the ones they had been in. It felt alien, strange plants growing everywhere, and what worried them was the cobweb on the ground. Usually spiders make it in the trees to catch flies. What was the purpose of it being on the ground, they thought. But what worried them even more was the quantity. It was everywhere, and it was sticky. They could barely walk on it. But there will be time for worry later. They needed a place to sleep in. So the team got to cutting down trees to make a base of operation in this strange land. Two creatures approached the group while they were working. Even though it startled them, they quickly realized they were friendly. Problem was, they didn't know what these dinosaur-looking creatures were. This further showed proof whatever this place was, it contains creatures they have never seen before. And if these were the friendly animals, they didn't want to imagine what hunted them. They didn't even have time to finish their rooms, as darkness engulfed them. One lonely torch out in the rain was all that was separating them from the unknown. This was going to be a rough night to sleep. Unsurprisingly, no one slept well. The trees offered little protection against the rain, but there was no time to waste. The sun is up and they had a lot to do. First on their list was a place to relieve themselves. It was the forest after all, and diseases are running rampant. After that, a well to get some water. They didn't dare go into the woods to find a river. After an entire day of building, with a roof over their heads and some light around, they could finally take a breath and relax for the rest of the night. In the morning, they took a moment to look around. The jungle was actually beautiful. Vibrant colors, the weird looking plants, and the almost mystical creatures that ran around with so much energy. For a second they forgot they were standing here. As reality set back in, they went back to work. As they were finishing around the place, a strange light was coming from the sky. When they looked up, they saw a pod engulfed in flames. It hit the ground full force. Without a thought, Kat ran out into the night to see if anyone is alive. Luckily, she managed to rescue the woman, Ada. While recovering, she told the crew about what she saw when she crashed. Weird shadows moving from tree to tree and insects chittering, but it was loud, really loud. The concerned crew told the woman she probably managed them from the pain, just to calm her, but they knew something was out in the forest. For now they pushed the thought away and went back to work. Good thing all of them were skilled engineers, they made quite a nice home from nothing. Although their work was interrupted by one of the weird cats fighting a turtle. The fight was almost comical, as the cat struggled to kill a turtle for almost 2 minutes. Even though it was morbid to laugh at the death of an animal, the crew had a good chuckle and let the tension that weighed over their heads go for a bit. The rest of the day was uneventful until late at night. Something made noise in the storage room, glass shattering all of a sudden. William was the one who would enter the room first. Even though her preservation instinct kicked in, she mustered the courage to enter. A small, draconic creature was fumbling around, looking for something to eat. Her fear quickly turned into confusion. The creature wasn't aggressive, it paid no attention to anyone, even the pigs that would make for perfect targets for a predator. Her confusion went away when she realized the creature broke the alcohol bottles that were used for medicine. It was drunk. After running around the storage room for a bit more, it quickly left through the hole in the wall and into the night, vanishing. William didn't know if she should laugh at the incident, grateful that nothing bad happened, or mad that one of them was stupid enough to leave a hole in the wall to their food. She went to sleep with all three emotions. While working late one rainy night, Williams felt an evil presence nearby. She could barely see through the thick fog. She managed to find some hieroglyphs. She could only make a couple of words: keep out or face death. The thought of some ancient tomb right near the base made the crew uneasy, but moving now when building was almost complete was a no-go. They would have to avoid it at all cost. Kent was the first one up. As per usual, he would check on Ada to make sure she's recovering well. But this morning, he only found a note. It said, "I can't stay here. I know what I saw that night. Giant insects skittering from tree to tree. It was real, and you know it too. You better do the same and get out of this cursed jungle before it devours you." Kent couldn't accept as truth what the woman wrote down. If she was wrong, she might still be alive now, and his thought would bring him peace. But if she was right, not only would she be dead by now, but they would be next to. He would throw away the letter to not panic the others with the writings of a mad woman. It seemed this jungle had a lot of secrets left. A huge mechanoid was wandering near the base. It was completely docile to the crew's surprise. When Ken tried to tame the robot, Kat almost had a heart attack. If she saw one more foreign creature around the base, she would lose it. "Next one, I put a bullet in their head," she said. She wouldn't have to wait long, but it was no beast. It was a caveman with a rock knife hitting their base. She took her anger out on the woman, but calmed herself. Maybe this person knew more about the jungle they were in, so they dragged her in and tended to her gun wounds. As days passed, the crew was getting bolder. They even started hunting some wild animals to replenish the little food storage they had. With food ready for a couple of weeks, they felt more in control. Maybe they got overly scared of the unknown, but it assured their survival. Maybe now they could start uncovering what else lived here and conquer the unknown. But quickly their dreams would get destroyed as they witnessed in horror as the giant robot was getting torn to pieces by something that looked like an enormous spider, green like the grass, fangs as big as swords with venom dripping from them, and their exoskeleton so thick it looked impenetrable. They didn't even dare help the robot. If it did that to the machine, it would kill every single one of them. They ran back home. No one said anything for a couple of minutes. They just stared blankly into the ground. But they all knew it wasn't safe anymore. They finally composed themselves and talked it out. Now everything made sense. Ada was right. Every single thing they do from now on will have them looking behind. Or even up. Being alone might be a death sentence. But if it did that to an armored mechanoid, the three of them stood no chance. Chapter 2. The Monster in the Dark. Even in their base they didn't feel safe anymore. It could tear down these wooden walls with ease if it wanted to. It didn't seem interested in them though. Guess it had enough food. For now. But what would happen if it ever ran out? Would they become next in line to be hunted? These types of thoughts were plaguing the colonists every night. The darkness made them uneasy to say the least. Just the thought of the creature ruined their sleep. But life had to continue, so they kept working, trying to improve their base and maybe find a way to escape. They couldn't let their fear stop them. The wild woman that attacked the base finally decided to join our colonies, but they couldn't get the answers they were seeking from her, since her jaw was shot off in their initial encounter. Good thing Vasilisa still wanted to make herself useful, so she started helping around the base. Even started wearing a dapper looking hat, since she adjusted well to the culture. Kat felt really bad about what she has done to her, so she took matters into her own hands and started operating. It was a surprisingly easy process to give her a new prosthetic jaw. Now the woman would be able to eat like a normal person again. Ken was determined to understand the creatures. He wanted to know how aggressive they were towards people. Early in the morning he spotted one of the spiders slaughtered an alpaca right near their doorstep. But after killing the animal, he didn't eat it. He just started wandering around. And, in an act of extreme bravery or stupidity, went out of the house to take the alpaca's body. Yet again, the spider didn't even acknowledge he existed. This behavior was truly strange for a predator, but it didn't ease them. It meant the spiders were unpredictable. And unpredictable it was. While digging up some stone for the base, Kat heard that ear-piercing screech. She knew the Jungle-esque, the name the crew gave it, was close, and this time it wanted to eat. Kat couldn't see the beast, but she ran to the base as fast as she could. She could barely walk through the thick cobweb that surrounded the base. As she was frantically trying to get through it, the crew saw the creature appearing out of the trees. Kat didn't have time to look at it, but shivers ran down her spine as she felt it getting closer and closer. At the last possible moment, she escaped the web and made a run for the front door, closing it right in front of the Jungle-esque. The frustrated creature started wandering off, hungry. But it would not have to wait for long, as a massive space battle was taking place above the planet. Pilots started crashing down the planet. The screams were horrifying. The lucky ones just died on impact. The unlucky ones that survived would become spider food. The crew was growing restless. It wanted to save these poor people, but the danger of leaving was far too great. One person was lucky enough to land right on their doorstep, Lugi, as far as they knew, the only survivor. This horrible tragedy seemed to be the crew's lucky day. A Jungle-esque dead after a fight with a drake, probably for the right to devour what seemed to be the captain of one of the sides. Not only would this provide a tremendous amount of food, not only did it mean there was one less monster to hunt them, it meant they could die, and this gave them hope. More poor souls seeking refuge came to their doors. After they tell them what lurks in the shadows, I don't know how long they will stay here. One day, as the crew was trying to construct additional rooms for their base, they didn't anticipate that they were already getting stalked by the Jungle-esque. As soon as they made a hole in the wall to reconstruct, a Jungle-esque started charging Williams. It was too late to repair the mistake. Everyone ran inside, hid, and prayed to their god. In the scramble to find a place to hide, Lugi met the monster. It charged at him, knocking him down, proceeding to devour his entire head. Kat and Tony were hiding in the quarry, nothing to stand between them and the spider. Luckily, the creature slowly wandered out of the base, seeming happy about catching his prey. William patched the hole up, and immense grief engulfed her. It was her fault for giving the Jungle-esque away to their home. "No one is leaving the base anymore," she said with tears in her eyes. After that it was quiet. It took days for anyone to say anything. It seemed like the entire ecosystem was against their existence. A giant black hive came out of the ground on the horizon. A single insect emerged and started coming towards them. It started demolishing the already fragile walls. The crew approached the creature and started shooting. His carapace was tough, but he started cracking. But he would not give up that easily. It shot his venomous spit at Kent. The corrosive substance started to burn his skin. Luckily, it wasn't potent enough to be deadly, but the creature wasn't running away. He started making holes in the base and ended up in the pig pen. The creature seemed bent on bringing the entire building down, but in a shocking moment, 4 jungleists entered the pig pen and brutally murdered the black hive insect. In a twisted way, the colonists were happy for their help, but their gratitude quickly disappeared when their babies started devouring the pigs, their offspring seeming even more aggressive than their parents. At this point, the crew was playing a waiting game. How long till the spiders realized they can bulldoze down their base and eat them too? Everyone was getting desperate. Chapter 3. The Light in the Shadows. Leaving the base was almost a foreign concept. They didn't know if the spiders were prepared to jump them the second they left. But food was scarce, so fear couldn't control them. The madman Kent would often leave the base and search around for any junglist bodies. The creatures would battle every animal they found, and sometimes their injuries would be too much even for them, resulting in their death. Kent managed to drag the body inside without alerting any of the nearby broodlings. At this point, he wasn't scared anymore. He had seen too much. Being scared would not help them survive. Their first big harvest. Finally some good news. This would ensure their survival for quite a long time. But was it living if they were confined to the walls of their base, unable to ever leave? One day some bold traders made camp near their base. The courage or foolishness displayed by these people was admirable, but the crew would take advantage of this situation. Some friendly trades and their mere presence allowed the crew to be able to expand their base further without being as scared. Bullseye. With one bullet, Cat sniped one of the junglist babies. If they could eradicate the broodlings, that would be one less worry for the future, since leaving this jungle looked more and more unlikely. And that is exactly what they did. Every single broodling that came near their base unprotected was swiftly shot to pieces. Although every time they left their base, they saw the carnage that was out there. So many dead bodies of animals, humans, and the predators that stalked these woods. It felt like a battlefield. In another of their encounters with the broodlings, the crew underestimated their enemy. The older brood was able to spit a venomous web. If it wasn't for Kent's excellent aim, William was about to meet her doom. Cat rushed her to a bed to start treating her. Her entire body suffered damage. The acid burns were so bad, she fell unconscious. Cat worked overnight to try and save her friend. After grueling hours of care, it seemed she stopped the burns, but it would take time for her to recover, and her body would be forever disfigured. Some strange signals came through the radio. To the average person, they sounded just like normal noises, but Kent knew these are mechanoid signals. They were close to their area, but the crew didn't even know if they should be scared. Any raid by tribes people would be swiftly eradicated by the junglers. But after one such attack, one of the herd junglers charged the base in blind anger. Cat and Kent unloaded all their bullets in panic at the enraged beast and her brood. Miraculously, they all died. They killed their first mature junglist. It was hurt, yes, but this proved to the crew, these creatures were not unkillable to them anymore. Hope was born that day. You know what they say, if you're winning, don't stop. Kent went out to look for the rest of the damaged junglers. With one bullet, he angered 4 of them. He made a mad dash for the fortification in his base. He and Cat unleashed hell on the bugs. Every bullet went straight to their head, dodging all their armor plating, and through what felt like sheer miracle, they killed all of them. The spiders couldn't reach the base in time. The 2 friends looked at each other and let out a scream of celebration. They did it. They were no longer prey and the spiders hunters. They were both hunters. Still, they couldn't underestimate their power. One wrong move and they would be eviscerated by their fangs. But from now on, they had a chance. As time passed, more people came to them for help. Some stayed, some left, and some even betrayed them. But life became more normal with each day passing. The base was self-sufficient, the upgrades made it seem like a luxury hotel if you never went outside, and it was better to not go outside. This jungle held some of the fiercest predators in the whole known galaxy. Sad the crew had to be the first ones to discover them. Even sadder, they got on their bad side, I guess, their hated side. But that was okay, the crew was preparing something of their caliber, you could say, that could take them on even better. After this, Kent spent most of his days shooting them. He wanted nothing more than to kill every single one of them. I have never met a more dedicated person in my life. Remember when one black hive insect almost killed all of them? This time, they were no match for the crew. With this newfound hope, they expanded rapidly, cleared out every insect that would come near their base, rendering them almost extinct. And soon, people could come to the region and not fear for their lives. 3 unfortunate souls managed to defeat the monsters in the dark and prove yet again that the human spirit is unbreakable. The end. Wow, Grandpa, that was an awesome story. But you said you knew Kent. How is that possible when this story is made up? Well, kids, remember when I said we are visiting an old friend on a distant planet this weekend? Yes, you can ask Kent himself if this was a true story.